So, engine rebuild kit showed up. I have not opened it, but I have started taking apart the engine. More so than it already was, because last time I just left it at 90% disassembled. Yeah, I left the short block together. Because I didn't have any reason to go further, but now I have the rebuild kit and I want to get the engine rebuilt for reasons. So, got the camshafts out, now I got to take the head off, and then I get to take the bottom end apart, and then I get to put it all back together. Yay! Brenna's excited. So we got the head off. You can see my car was running very rich, just based on all this carbon buildup on the pistons. But other than that, the pistons look completely fine. You know, again, other than the 2 millimeters of carbon buildup. It's my new gasket kit. How do the valves look? Again, carbon, but at no point were they greeting the piston, so I can live with that. So, engine's completely torn down. I went and washed the block. Still pretty dirty, but it's not covered in gunk anymore. Cleaned the pistons, took all the rings and old bearings out, and yeah, so it's completely torn down. Now it's time to start putting it all back together again. And then it says all right, so I got the block painted, and now it's time to start rebuilding, starting with the new crankshaft bearings. All right, so I got the crankshaft back in. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but that went in, new bearings, no hassle, went in easy. Got the new rear main seal back on. So I got my piston rings installed. I gapped them, installed them, I put the new bearings in, so now it's time to put the pistons into the block. Alright, so the short block's all together. We got the pistons in, we got the crank in, and now it's time to put the head and the camshafts and the timing chains and all of that other incredibly interesting stuff in. We got the head on and the front timing cover and the lower timing chain all done up. I didn't film any of it because it's kind of an all hands on deck kind of thing. No time for recording. You can see, you know, where I cared about this and then where it starts kind of getting shittier. But it's fine. It's not as clean as other people's engines, Brendan, but it's fine. Next thing we got to do is put the cams in and the upper timing chain, and then, you know, manifolds and accessories and whatnots. Alright, so I got my long block fully assembled. I got the upper timing chain cover on, I got my cams in, timing cover on. Yeah, everything is, the engine itself, the long block itself is good to go. The only thing it's missing is the timing cover, which is drying right now. And the oil pan, which I haven't put on yet for a specific reason. Alright, I got all the boring front accessory stuff on. I got the water pump on, I got the crank pulley on, thermostat housing, and I thought that it was going to be turbo time. It should be turbo time. I got a turbo, it's right there. I got a manifold space with no turbo on it, but I do not have the manifold studs. I took them out because I was going to replace them, and it turns out they're impossible to find. So, turbo's going to wait a little bit, and right now it's time to put the intake manifold on, which is significantly less exciting, but equally as important. I assure you, the turbo will be on by the end of this video. Whether this video comes out in April or not is a different story. So this is what I bought for turbo stuff. I had a plan. I was going to save my money, buy a nice good turbo kit, turbo myself with brand new parts. It was going to be great. And then I cheaped out and I bought a used turbo kit that somebody had just pulled off their car in typical greasy fashion. So here's a quick overview of my greasy turbo kit. So I have a eBay turbo. I don't know what size it is. It's T304. There's literally not one distinguishing marking on this entire turbo that would tell me what brand makes it, or what size it is, or any of that stuff. I don't care. This turbo is begging to be replaced, and I will probably oblige it someday. But for now, I'm a cheap fuck. It's staying on until it explodes, probably. Then we got a CX Racing manifold. Yeah, it's a manifold. Got a 38 millimeter wastegate with a 7 psi spring. And I've got all the other springs in it for it if I feel like going above 7 psi, which I don't because I didn't put good internals in here, so it will blow up. But someday, when this has good internals, maybe up the boost. But for now, no. What else I got? The wastegate has a gigantic screamer pipe. I don't know if I'm going to keep that. It would be dope if I kept it, but it's like, here's the dilemma. It's like, you want your car to be clean and nice, but on the other hand, this is your car, and it will never be clean and nice, so maybe just stick the hater pipe out the hood. Either way, I don't know what to do. Leave a comment telling me if I should keep the hater pipe. If literally one person tells me to, I probably will, because it's cool. Anyways, back to the turbo stuff. Got a intercooler, no clue what brand that is, don't know. HKS blow-off valve, some intercooler piping, obviously. Got an RF enthalpy tuned ECU, so if you don't know what that is, it's like, instead of getting a Haltech that you tune yourself, you effectively just ship your ECU off to, I think it's through Injuku Racing, and then you tell them what kind of turbo you got, what kind of injectors you got, all that fun stuff, and then they just tune it for you. Yeah, so this one's already been tuned for the setup I have, which is just one less step. What else I got here? Got some 550cc injectors. DW. Fun stuff. Z32 mass airflow sensor with a pretty garbage pod filter that I'm definitely going to replace with a knockoff mushroom filter, because you know I'm not paying full price. And then I think that's about it for the turbo kit. So people can clown me if they want and be like, this dumb asshole just bought a fucking used turbo kit that came off somebody else's car. But when it comes down to it, I saved a shitload of money. I saved up myself a bunch of headache because this is already set up. And this turbo kit, I think the guy, he installed it in February, and then he decided to go LS, and he tore the car apart in like June or August or like late summer, I don't know. The point is, it's got like half a year on it. It'll be fine. The stuff I really care about, you know, manifold, intercooler piping, all that shit. Like, yeah, the turbo probably is not going to hold up. Definitely isn't going to hold up. Let's not even be optimistic here. But I can replace the turbo. I didn't buy the kit for the turbo. I bought the kit for the completeness. So yeah, I got a complete turbo kit, and it is ready to go on the engine. And then I can put the engine in the car, and then I can do skids. That's bottom line here. So, I got the oil pan back on. Brennan welded a bung on there for me so I could put my turbo oil drain on. I started putting on the manifold. That's the lower half of the manifold. And while I'm doing that, since this is the best time to do it, I'm deleting all the emissions stuff. I don't live in California. I don't have to pass smog. So I'm just deleting it en masse. This is some fucking rat's nest of vacuum lines that used to live on the back of the head. And that's where that goes. So this is the other rat's nest of vacuum lines and hard lines that was connected to the last one I tossed out. Nailed it. So all I pretty much have left where all this crap used to be is like a heater line. I also went through and took the tree off my lower manifold, capped those off. Brennan is just impacting like a fool over there. And I also jammed the butterflies open. So now I have no emission stuff and I can never sell this car to anyone from California. Don't care. If you live in a state with emissions, I feel genuine pity for you. You can see here, this is where the EGR valve is supposed to go. The previous owner put in an EGR block-off plate, which is good, but I'm replacing the gasket anyways because my kit came with one. You know, new one's nice and shiny. This one's old and garbage and might as well. So the intake side of the engine is pretty much done. I got the intake manifold on, NOx sensor on, PCV valve on, got the EGR blocked off again. And all I really have left to do on this side of the engine is the fuel rail and then also the engine mounts. And then it'll be time to start working on the exhaust side of the engine, which is the fun side. I'll film something briefly. Okay. Working on the fuel. Okay, give me 5 seconds here. I gotta film something. I was halfway through filming when you fucking...
I had no idea.
I was like, so, and then it's like... Blurr! Alright, I'm working on the fuel rail right now. I got the old shitty injectors out. I gotta put the 550cc ones in. The O-rings on these ones are shot, so first I gotta swap out the O-rings. I finally got my exhaust studs. They were impossible to find. I could only find them online. I didn't want to order them online, so I just took bolts and cut the heads off of them and tapped them out. It's fine. Now I can finally put my turbo on and then finally put the engine back in the car, and it's going to be amazing because I'm tired of my engine not being in my car. So that's the turbo mounted finally. I didn't have to necessarily mount it with the engine out of the car, but the guy told me it's a lot easier than trying to mount it with the engine in the car. So yeah, figured engine's out of the car, why not do it now? I might have to take, you know, the downpipe and the screamer pipe off before I put the engine in if I want it to go in easy. I don't know. I'll burn that bridge if I get to it. So that's pretty much where I'm going to end this episode. Stay tuned. I got a bunch of stuff coming up in the future. I got a huge list of it written on plywood. I got to make an exhaust for it, paint the car, put the engine back in, obviously. Just a bunch of crap I got to do. So, yeah, stay tuned.